I'm Sarah, a 42-year-old stepmother, and this is a story I never expected to share. My husband, Michael, is a successful businessman, always on the go, either traveling, stuck in endless meetings, or glued to his phone. His ambition has given us a life of luxury, but over time, it cost us something far more precious, our bond. The house that once felt like a home now seemed like a monument to our past. The laughter, the passion, they were gone, replaced by a suffocating silence. I felt invisible sometimes, even to myself. I tried everything to reignite the flame. Romantic dinners, spontaneous trips, even direct conversations. But each time his response was the same. I'm doing this for us. But was he really? Or was he just living for his own goals? Then came Ethan, my 24-year-old stepson. He had just graduated from college and returned home to save up while beginning his first job. Ethan was no longer a boy. He had blossomed into a confident, charismatic young man. Ethan had always been polite, but something had subtly changed. The way his gaze lingered a little too long during dinner, or how his compliments now seemed layered with something unspoken. At first, I tried to brush it off, just a harmless result of my own loneliness and craving for attention. Yet, the more I tried to ignore it, the more it consumed me. His presence had become magnetic, drawing me closer to a boundary I never imagined I'd even consider crossing. It all began one Friday afternoon. Michael called to let me know he'd be working late again, leaving the house eerily quiet and empty. I found myself trying to fill the silence with mundane tasks, folding laundry, tidying the kitchen, anything to distract myself. But as I passed the living room, I saw Ethan lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up and flashed a warm smile that made the loneliness seem to momentarily vanish. "Hey, Sarah," he said, sitting up. "Want to watch something?" I could use a break. I hesitated. Spending time with Ethan felt like treading on thin ice, but I nodded, convincing myself it was nothing more than a casual offer. We decided on a comedy, but I could barely focus. It wasn't the show that had my attention. It was the proximity of his body to mine, the air thick with an unspoken tension. Our hands brushed as we both reached for the popcorn, and in that instant, a surge of electricity shot through me. Neither of us pulled away. Neither of us let go. In the following days, our encounters became more frequent and undeniably more charged. One evening, while I was in the kitchen preparing dinner, Ethan walked in, his sleeves rolled up, revealing his well-defined arms. "Need any help?" he asked, his tone casual, yet there was something else there. "Sure," I replied, my pulse racing as he moved closer. As we worked together, the conversation flowed easily, but beneath it all, there was an unspoken tension neither of us dared to address. At one point, he reached across me to grab a spice jar, his hand brushing against mine. I froze, my breath catching in my throat as I looked up. Our eyes locked, and in that moment, the air around us seemed thick with something neither of us could name. He didn't move. I didn't either. "Sarah," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," I managed to say, my heart pounding in my chest. Before anything more could be said, the sound of Michael's car pulling into the driveway shattered the silence. We both froze. Yet the feelings didn't fade. One evening, after Michael left for yet another business trip, I found myself alone in the living room, sipping a glass of wine. I was lost in my thoughts when Ethan appeared, holding 2 glasses. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. I nodded, and he sat beside me, closer than usual. We talked about everything and nothing, the conversation flowing effortlessly, filled with laughter and glances that lingered a bit too long. As the evening stretched on and the wine worked its magic, I felt my walls start to lower. Before I knew it, I was sharing my frustrations about Michael. "I just feel forgotten," I confessed, staring into my glass. "Like I don't even matter to him anymore." Ethan's face softened, his brow furrowing in concern. "That's not true, Sarah," he said earnestly. "You're incredible. Anyone would be lucky to have you." His words were like a warmth I hadn't felt in years, soothing the ache inside me. I met his gaze, emotions swirling within me, and before I could stop myself, I leaned in. Our lips brushed, a brief, electrifying moment of weakness. I pulled away, startled by my own actions. "I'm sorry," I whispered. I wasn't sure what had come over me. Ethan gently took my hand. "Sarah, it's okay," he said, his voice low. "I felt this too." His confession sent a shiver down my spine, and in that instant, the walls I'd carefully built around myself began to crumble. I let him guide me back in, the pull undeniable. This time, when our lips met, it wasn't a fleeting moment. It was slow, deliberate, and full of a passion I hadn't felt in years. The days that followed became a whirlwind of stolen moments and hushed secrets. We'd find reasons to be alone, whether it was lingering in the kitchen after dinner or slipping into the garden late at night. Each touch, every lingering glance, felt both forbidden and intoxicating. I knew what we were doing was wrong, but I couldn't bring myself to stop. Then came a particularly stormy evening. Michael's flight was delayed by the weather, leaving Ethan and me alone in the house. The power flickered, casting the room in a dim, eerie light. We ended up huddled together on the couch, the howling storm outside a stark reflection of the chaos brewing within me. And before I knew it, we were kissing again, the sound of the rain and thunder drowning out all reason.